Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by SparesBox. Today we're back on the FG Ute and we're putting a helper spring kit in. So basically that's a secondary spring. In this case it's actually an airbag or an air spring. So it bolts between the diff and the chassis. So we're going to go through it and how to install it, and also the benefits of why you would want to install one of those kits as opposed to not running it. So let's dive into it. We've got our kit unpacked here on the bench. We've got pretty much everything we need to install the kit minus the tools. So it comes with all the mounting brackets, both the upper and lower. You got some plates that help protect the bag itself as part of the install. Got some bolts. These are special bolts that actually tap their own thread into the chassis of the vehicle. So they're pretty important to the actual install of the kit. You obviously get all your Airlines and your standard style bolts which screw into the airbag and the mounting brackets, and all your hosing, and then you've got instructions. And we've even got a heat shield for the exhaust. So this is a nice little addition that I think is a really good idea. Obviously the Falcon only runs the exhaust on one side, so you only need one of these, but potentially depending on your install, other kits may come with two. A few reasons why you'd want to run these bag kits or the helper spring in your car. Basically, it'll allow you to have better braking and steering when you're towing or when you've got a heavy load in the tray. So, like typically when you see a vehicle that's carrying to the top end of their load capacity, the back springs are compressed quite a lot compared to the front. So you've got less weight actually on your front suspension. So in harsh braking and steering applications, potentially you could be understeering or having inefficient braking. So this counteracts those issues and actually lifts the back of the car back up, or the back of the ute in this setup back up, and it levels it out. So it's a nice little setup and it's a good safety feature more than anything. This isn't to be confused with a GVM upgrade though. This is a helper kit, not an upgrade kit as far as upgrading your load carrying capacity. So one thing that they do mention pretty heavily in the instructions is it's not an upgrade kit and you can't carry more than the payload. It's more of a leveling and a safety kit. So yeah, that's a completely different system, and as far as more, you can't actually get one for the Falcon. So yeah, this is kind of the next best thing. And the reason we're putting one in our ute is because this is a factory XR series vehicle. Ours is an XR6, but the XR8 also ran the same rear leaf spring setup. And the commercial variant of this vehicle has a lot heavier duty rear springs, but because the XR series is kind of a more performance orientated vehicle, they put a softer rear spring in it to make the ride nicer. But unfortunately for people like me who tow trailers, put engines in the back, put gearboxes in the back, put all sorts of stuff in, the rear springs are probably a little bit soft for what we want to use it for. But I don't want to go putting the commercial springs in because they're really quite aggressive and quite firm, and it transforms the ride of the vehicle more towards a truck, like a commercial vehicle or like a Ranger or a like more heavy duty commercial vehicle. So this is a really good compromise because you can actually inflate these to multiple different pressures depending on how much assistance you want. Minimum, you always need to keep these inflated too. It's worth mentioning that you can't run these things with no air in them because it will pinch the bag and basically damages it, and that's a throwaway. These are replaceable, so you don't have to buy a whole kit, but on the same token, I wouldn't recommend running them empty and then pinching them and causing problems. So yeah, the kit recommends to run minimum of 20 PSI in the bags all the time, with a maximum operating pressure when you've got a load in there of 100 PSI. So when we install these today, we're just going to whack the 20 pound in them, and if we have to put a big load in or whatever, we'll adjust as required. But yeah, 20 pound will keep these going because it also replaces the bump stop as well. So you want that 20 PSI in there so that this kind of acts as a bit of a bump stop as well. But enough talking, let's throw it in. You guys may be wondering what we were doing. We've just drilled 2 holes in the chassis rail and we've just run these special bolts into this. Is a self-tapping bolt effectively. It's a it's for a 5/16 hole, so I believe it's about a 3/8 thread. So you need to drill a 5/16 hole for it. It's just under 8 millimeters. I've used an 8mm drill bit because it's all I've got. It's 7.93 millimeters, so 0.07 should be enough. That will still have good thread engagement. It's just gone straight in. I've also used a bit of tapping grease, but you could use standard grease as well just to run it in a little bit smoother so it doesn't overheat or gall the thread. So we've got those 2 in now. So we're going to mount our bag kit in the car, but before we do that, we are going to put our 2 little air fittings on because it's a little bit hard to get to those once they're in the car. So we'll chuck these 90-degree fittings on both the bags, then we'll mount them all up. Then we'll bolt them to the diff, plumb all the lines, and we should be gravy. Our bags are ready to go in for the final time now. The one thing we have fitted before final assembly is the 90-degree air fitting. The instructions do specify that you have to just put it in finger tight and then only 1.5 turns with a spanner. These are a tapered thread and they do have a thread sealer already on them, so that should be more than enough tension or sealing for what we need for this setup. So just going to tighten all these bolts a little bit tighter than what they are now so that there's just a little bit of movement, so we don't have to spend 20 minutes tightening it in the car. But other than that, we're pretty much good to whack them in. Well, we're pretty much done. We've got all our bags in and we've run our Airline up to the fuel filler cover, filler cap, whatever, fuel door. The reason I put them in here is I just want to make it a little bit neater. A lot of the times I've seen these screwed into the rear bar or mounted off the tow bar, but I mean, the fuel door's a nice, easy access point. It's designed to have things put in and out of it. So it's, yeah, pretty simple. We've just got our 2 bag points here. Just chucked the little caps on them that they supply. So nice little thing. And the cool thing is these will actually be able to deflate the bags too. So we can fill them up, obviously with a tire pressure gauge or even a little onboard compressor, but then deflate them just with the caps. We don't have to have any other special tools, so that's pretty good. So nice and neat and pretty stealth. So all that's left to do is chuck on our brand new Ferrari wheels. Let's see what happens when we put air in it. That's 25 pound. So that's like 40 pound.
Is that the max?
Nah, you can put 100 in it.
Oh, wow.
That's us done for the day. We've got our airbag spring kit in. We've also got our new Ferrari wheels on. Yes, they're real. Yes, I know it's a bit of a flog, but they popped up and it was something a bit different. And it's hard to go back once you've had 35 GTR wheels on your car. So yeah, decided to change it up a little bit and go for the 488 wheels. Yeah, we picked them up in Japan actually when we were buying wheels for other projects. So it was yeah, a bit of an impulse buy, and they're pretty cool and they're probably cheaper than you'd expect. We landed this set for around $4,000, which isn't cheap in dollar terms, but as far as 20 by 11 inch wheels go, that's actually pretty cost effective. Yeah, if you're buying an aftermarket wheel in that size, you'd be paying that, if not more, for a set. So yeah, pretty stoked with that. They have lock nuts, don't worry, they're not going anywhere. And if they do, they're insured anyway. So please don't steal my wheels. But yeah, stoked with the airbag kit. It went in really well. simple bolting kit with the exception of drilling one hole for the front spring mount and obviously the 2 holes for the valve stems. We went against the trend and put them in the fuel door just so it's a bit neater, bit of a stealth install, and there's always tyre pressure gauges and stuff at servos so you can just slip it in there and pump it up if you have to. But yeah, stoked with that install. Thanks to SparesBox for that airbag kit as well. It was a super simple install. Really happy with the way it's gone, and even just playing around with it, putting a bit of air in it, you can see it goes up and down really easy. There's no noise, there's no creaks, and the location of the bag is pretty good, so pretty happy with that. But yeah, we'll stress again, it's not a GVM upgrade. It's not designed to make your car carry more weight than it's rated for. It's just designed to level the load out so that you can drive it more safely than if you've got some invisible caravan action going on. So your braking system and your steering system works a lot better when you have these helper bags. So yeah, to stress again, it's not a GVM upgrade. It's an assisting device to make the car sit flat when you're towing or when you're carrying heavy loads in the back of your ute. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.